Hello out there. Welcome to episode 6 of Walk the Dog Cinema. I hope you all have been having a good one. It's been a little bit slow on the posting. Didn't have a lot of time to watch too many movies or things like that, but did finally get my 1955 movie in, and I chose to watch basically, for me, one of the quintessential movies from the 50s that kind of encapsulates what we think of golden Hollywood. Mr. Roberts, for me, when I think of it, you had All About Eve when I started, but this one, it has Henry Fonda in an amazing role. 50s did a lot of stage plays to movies, and this is a great example of that, and kind of working off of that. And Henry Fonda basically is reprising the role he did on Broadway within this. It has Jack Lemmon, James Cagney, Warren Bond, who was in the last Hondo, with John Wayne, character actor, that's noticeable. But the reason I say, it's the star power of the movie, star power of the director. Everything, and just kind of the basis, the plot, kind of how Hollywood was changing. Mr. Roberts is a great man in this. Henry Fonda plays it wonderfully. It's beautifully acted. Jack Lemmon got nominated for Best Supporting Role and won, deservedly so. His Ensign Pulver is just one of those great screen characters, and William Powell, who's Doc, has some great line. I mean, just across the board. James Cagney as the villainous captain, who kind of, you want to see, like anything, a bad boss given his comeuppance, and just how all of that is done and handled. It's very much of its time, but at the same time, it resonates across the board. It's one of my all-time favorites. It was my grandfather's favorite. That's how I got introduced to Mr. Roberts. I've seen it countless times, and I really wanted to document this movie when I saw, it was in 1955. It's in my collection. I've been watching some new ones, so I wanted to document something that I am really familiar with, and kind of go, as a younger guy, you have a different perception of the movie. And as I've gotten older, I wanted to kind of see if any of those perceptions have changed, in terms of how I take the material. And to be honest, it still just really rings as, not even just top movie from the 50s, I mean, literally of all time. I mean, to me, I don't think you can say enough about how great the movie is, or where it stands. It's in a lot of essence, just from a movie standpoint, whether there's some fantasy to it or not, or the realism, it doesn't matter. To me, everything's grounded. It feels real. James Cagney's villainous captain, he has a motivation as to why the way he is, why he doesn't get along with Mr. Roberts. Just, all the little details that the actors do with their face and voice and just delivery of lines. It's a masterclass in directing. It's a masterclass in writing. It's a masterclass in acting. And every time I've watched it, there's just these little nuances that you pick up on, and one of them for me was kind of not even recognizing Ensign Pulver, Jack Lemmon. It's kind of a frat boy before he got into the war. You always know he's kind of a lazy layabout, try to get stuff done. You knew he went to college because he's an officer. James Cagney reminds him of that. He's kind of a chicken. But there was like a part in the movie that I didn't fully recognize when he's kind of talking about a buddy from college and how they kind of were scamming things, and then you kind of realize, well, he's kind of a frat boy, from his time, and he's partying it up. And there's another little part that I really hadn't picked up on where they get liberty, and Jack Lemmon just comes onto the boat, and Mr. Roberts and Doc kind of look at him and how was your night, Frank? And he's whistling the song that they set up is the one where is about women, where he kind of sings to himself when he thinks he's going to get lucky with a woman, because there's a great sequence with some nurses from a hospital that's up on this island that the boat's going around. But Jack Lemmon doesn't say anything. He gives this like sly smile to Henry Fonda, and Henry Fonda acknowledges kind of the passing of like a bro code, so to speak, and we kind of get it. I don't know how I've seen the movie so many times kind of missing the point of that, and then they kind of make a crack about when they salute Ensign Pulver to ladies of the night. It's little things like that these jokes are set up that you can appreciate as you move through it. If I was teaching a class of some kind, this would be a movie that I would show to anybody of any age in a class on writing or how to set up the stories or the beats, or how we get to the end to make it emotional without being mushy. It truly is a great film. If you've never seen it, you need to see it. It's one of those that you need to watch, period, end of story. If you're a film file person, this is one that everyone should watch at least once. And I'm not saying that any and everybody's gonna love it. I'm just saying it is film history in the one sense, and it is a great movie. I'm gonna get into some spoilers now through the whole thing. So if you've never watched Mr. Roberts and you don't want it to spoil, I'd stop it now. Otherwise, let's keep going. And after all the congratulatory stuff about what I think, where do you go? The whole movie's set up right from the get-go, where we see, great vista of the ocean. We get a great shot of Henry Fonda right out of the gate, where we see the star of the movie. He captures us. The director's got his, Henry Fonda blue eyes squinting at these destroyer line of aircraft carriers and stuff. And of course, that's really important to the whole movie. It's the whole driving force of the movie. Henry Fonda, Mr. Roberts, wants to get into the war. That's what he signed up for. He quit medical school to do so, and he's stuck on this basically bucket with a really ruthless captain who doesn't really care about his crew, only cares about a promotion. And Henry Fonda runs counter to that. He feels empathy for all the guys doing all the hard work in the hot Pacific, and they bust butt, and they're one of the best crews out there. And the captains let them know that by displaying his palm tree that he got for excellent service, and the captain loves his palm tree. And that's all set up, like, from the get-go. In the beginning, the palm tree comes out huge into the movie as a sign of defiance. And Henry Fonda just really embodies the character. I've always liked Henry Fonda as an actor. He's, not in the same level, but I always think of like Harrison Ford a little bit in modern times, to the quiet manliness of things. They both somehow project empathy with their eyes. Henry Fonda does an amazing job of that. Anything I've seen him in, even when he's the bad guy, like in How the West Was Won, there's acting, and Henry Fonda, to me, was like one of the kings of using his eyes and mannerisms without saying words to really convey the emotion or the characteristics. I got my introduction to him on Golden Pond way back in the day. I was a young guy, seeing that movie. You didn't have a lot of access to video yet and stuff. And so, like, on that journey, he's always been one. I've admired his movies. I can't say I've seen them all. I've seen a lot of Henry Fonda films. He's one of those actors I look out to really watch, to see. And a lot of it has to do with 12 Angry Men. I love him in Alfred Hitchcock's Wrong Man. He's just, like I said, How the West Was Won. I mean, he's superlative. He's just fantastic, and this role is no different. I mean, there's just scenes that I really want you to watch in this, to look out for when it comes to Henry Fonda. Like it's a great thing when they're Jack Lemmon is thinking he's going to bring a nurse to his room, because these nurses that he met on this island, he kind of tells them, why don't you come over, or at least the head nurse. And that head nurse, which is crazy, is Betsy Palmer, who kind of got her fame for me as Jason Voorhees' mom in the Friday the 13th series. That's the very first movie. So it's pretty wild to see her, in 1955, and you can go all the way to 1980, and like, there she is, and she's tough in this one, and she has a great little supporting role in it that is it's quite funny. But they're gonna make bourbon, because Henry Fonda is trying to get liberty for the crew, so he gave up his bourbon to an admiral to get things changed for the boat so they can go to a liberty. But anyhow, it's a great scene where Doc, Mr. Roberts, Henry Fonda, and Ensign Pulver, they're trying to figure out how to make bourbon. And I mean, they make a concoction with seltzer water, Coca-Cola. But besides all that, it's really not the dialogue in that scene at all. It's just mannerisms. There's a part where Jack Lemmon grabs his Coke bottle underneath his bunk, and the way Henry Fonda looks at him about that, and how Jack Lemmon responds in kind to the whole situation is hilarious. But there's a part where, Henry Fonda is gonna drink this concoction, and I don't know, just for me, there's something about the way he puckers up his lips, and he's like gonna taste this, and he knows it might be yucky, but he's not a big bourbon drinker, but same time he really wants to taste this. And as he drinks it, the way he just reacts to it, and emboldens it, and just, by gosh, that does taste like bourbon. There's this joy to it at the same time as solid comedic timing from it being so serious in the one sense. And he lets the situation handle itself. And, it's just scene after scene like that with him. There's a part where Jack Lemmon and Ensign Pulver asks him what he thinks of him. And, in the most empathetic way possible. And again, masterclass in acting. he tells him what he thinks, how he's lazy and a layabout. And the day that he finally finishes one of his pranks or does something and really shows the captain or him, then he's going to look to him as a man. And that one is set up for the very end. And I'll get to that in just a minute. But, it's scene after scene of that, when the crew gets liberty, watch Henry Fonda really, as he's sitting there, he kind of knows that he's not going to get off the boat for liberty. And he's playing it up a little bit with telling the crew guys, oh, my person will come here in 15 minutes and relieve me. But you really kind of see he doesn't want to, and you can see the joy that it brings that the guys got liberty. And when you really see Henry Fonda, he just emboldens it, and just captures that moment. But like I said, then there's a part where, he has it out with the captain to get the crew liberty. Really watch Henry Fonda, how he responds in kind. And there's always a dignity with it, a dignified response to James Cagney. And even watch James Cagney in that, how he shifts gears so fast. It's two big, it's two great actors holding the screen in Pitch Perfect, and the director knowing to keep the camera out of the way, so to speak, but just doing little touches here and there to capture the moment, to really enhance the gravitas of it all. But we really see James Cagney's mind working, and you really see Henry Fonda counteracting it and working it. But they come to a conclusion that Henry Fonda is gonna follow in line just so the crew can get liberty, and the captain thinks he's got him over, and then we get to where World War II is ending in Europe. To celebrate, Henry Fonda wants to celebrate, so he decides that he's going to throw this palm tree out. But I want you to watch, when you see that scene, watch it again and really watch those mannerisms of Henry Fonda. Does it so dignified, so officer-like, with the way he marches to it, the way he rubs his hands, the way he just grabs the disdain of that palm tree and hucks it into the ocean. But as much disdain and hate he has for that, the relief and how he feels afterwards. But it's fantastic. Like the way the scene is shot, the way the camera is always a little bit low for Henry Fonda, and so it makes him taller. He is a slender guy. It really, but it gives him the gravitas to be bigger. And James Cagney is a shorter guy, and a lot of the shots are shot higher to make him littler. And he's already, smaller than Henry Fonda, but it really, there's these little subtleties that are done in the film throughout the whole thing with everything to really punch home things. And again, everything is done in such a way from beginning to end. Things, pay off 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, 30 minutes later. You really, but it isn't a question that you have to pay attention. Yeah, you'll remember it all, and there's this scene after scene when Jack Lemmon throws his firecracker and he goes to test it and he blows up a water main and all these suds come out. It's great funny moments like that. But I think the biggest then that you have to see and really appreciate the acting is, we get Henry Fonda when he gets that moment when he realizes how important he is to the crew, and he's leaving the ship. He finally gets off. He's going to go to his battalion, and it's really an emotional moment with the guys, and it's all just because Henry Fonda's eyes and just the way he holds himself. And you could see that there's this, he stands tall, but his shoulders just slump a little forward, ever so gently, that we see that he kind of maybe realizes he made a bad decision by leaving them, and how he protected them from the captain, and how important it is. Really watch that scene for that. And then we get to the end, and here Jack Lemmon through the whole thing has kind of been a comedic, and he really punches home the ending when he finds out, sadly, that Mr. Roberts has died in the act of combat. To see such elation from getting a letter from Mr. Roberts and then a letter from his friend that lets him know that Mr. Roberts has died, and you see Jack Lemmon's face just turn. They don't ever really say it. They kind of, the doc realizes, oh, what is it, Frank? And Jack Lemmon lets him know, oh, Mr. Roberts died and how he died. And it'll strike you. It's such a, again, masterclass. Watch it. Like, it'll hit home, and you just be like, what the heck? But then Jack Lemmon, stands up and he captures the moment, and in his act of defiance, after the captain has fixed his palm tree, he throws it out, bangs on gate, and he kind of becomes the man that Mr. Roberts wanted him to be, and lets the captain know. And then you see the captain's face realizing that he has another Mr. Roberts on his hand, and the movie ends with this great hope of that. And so sad, and it, like I said, the movie encapsulates all of it. So enjoy it. I always do, and we'll see you again.